Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Simplykrystelle. So I thought I recorded an intro for this video, but I guess I didn't press record. So in today's video, I'll be discussing some tips on how you can avoid cakey foundation, and this is really beginner friendly. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you're not subscribed, please hit the subscribe button to see more videos like this. So let's just get into this video on how to avoid cakey foundation. Alright, so I am going to be starting off with a bare face. I have nothing on my face right now. The only thing I did is I washed my face with cleanser and that is it. So now I'm going to take my skincare and really add that moisture into my skin because I want my foundation to not sit on my skin, because you're gonna see, like, if I just applied foundation right now, it would not look smooth and seamless. So you want to make sure that you do prep your skin properly. So I'm going to start off with some serum. This is the L'Oreal Infallible 1.5 hyaluronic acid serum. Definitely recommend hyaluronic acid for everybody. I think it is such a great extra layer of moisture to the skin, and it's really hydrating. And even if you have oily skin, hyaluronic acid does help as well with just adding that moisture. And after the hyaluronic acid, I'm gonna go in with my moisturizer. I'm taking the Belif True Cream Aqua Bomb moisturizer. This is definitely my favorite daytime moisturizer to use. It is great for those who have oily skin. It's a gel moisturizer. I only take very little and I just apply it onto the skin. And now my skin is looking very plump, very moisturize. And the next step, for sure, you always have to make sure to do this, is you definitely want to put some sunscreen. You should be wearing sunscreen every day. I don't have to tell you guys that, but that's just, you know, obviously you want to make sure you put sunscreen. I'm ready for the next step, which is prime. Always make sure that you prime your skin no matter what. Even if you have the most hydrating skin and you're going for the most glowiest looking skin ever, prime your skin. Primer acts as like that base for your foundation to sit on top. And if you don't have a good primer, your makeup is just not going to last. Priming your skin is just as important as setting your skin, so always make sure you prime. So I'm going to go in with two of my favorite primers. I always use two primers just because I like to put a more pore diffusing primer, like a more pore filling primer, and on my cheeks and my nose, because I have, you know, larger pores there. And I like to go for dripping primer around my face. So I'm going to take the Rare Beauty Pore Diffusing Primer, and I'm going to use this only on my nose and my cheek area. And this is how I usually do it. I take my Milk Gripping Primer and I take this and I put it around the perimeter of my face. Like I said before, the primer does act as that base for your foundation to sit on top. And another tip that I do like to do with primers, I like to let it sit on my skin for a while. That's why I usually do my eyes first as the primer is settling into my skin. But for the sake of today's video, we're gonna just keep going. Now we're on to the tip number 3, which is the foundation. We're ready to apply the foundation to our skin. Number 3 would be to apply your foundation very slowly. Like, what I mean by that is you're taking your time with applying your foundation. You're not going in with a heavy hand. You're not going with an extra thick layer. You want to make sure that you apply your foundation in sections and slowly. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take only one pump of foundation. I'm going to show you guys how I apply it onto my face. When I apply the foundation, I only started with one pump, and I noticed that the one pump wasn't enough to cover my whole face. So I did take another pump to do the other half of my face. But what I did is that I applied my foundation using a buffing method, and also I stippled. So I stippled it first and then I buffed it out onto my skin, and I kind of took my foundation outwardly towards my hairline, and I didn't apply too much foundation on my forehead or too much on my nose area, because those are the places like where it tends to look very cakey, and tends to look very cakey sometimes on the cheek area. But I made sure to really thin out the foundation and to really not apply concentrated amount in one area. So when you're blending out your foundation, you want to make sure that you kind of like take it outwardly and you thin it out. Like, I like to thin out my foundation, and I like to blend it along my jawline, of course. I always blend it along my jawline, and I always try to blend it into my hairline so that it can blend in very smoothly. Now after applying that first layer, if you feel like you want more foundation, you can always go in with another pump, and you can always build it up to how much you want to build it up to. Not because I am using this NARS light reflecting foundation, it's giving me good coverage. I'm going to apply a little bit more along my jawline because I do have hyperpigmentation, so I'm only taking about this much on the brush, and I'm just going to stipple it in, and I'm going to buff it. Now I'm not going to buff it this way, I'm going to buff it downwards. And now we're done with the foundation. Another tip, this is like an extra little tip in there. If you want, as you're applying your layers of foundation, like when you have the foundation on your skin, you can always take a little bit of setting spray just to kind of melt all of it in, especially if you want like that more dewy, glowy look with your foundation. But today we're just going for a more natural look. But if I wanted a dewy look when the foundation was on my skin before blending it out, I would take some setting spray and I would just spray my skin just to give it a little bit more luminosity and more dewy and more glow. That's just the extra tip in there if you want that. Another thing too, this is like extra, I am going to go in with some bronzer and some blush. Now I am using cream products, so because I'm using cream products, before I set my skin or put any type of powder, I'm gonna go in with these cream products first, and then I'll be back to show you guys the next. So now we're ready for tip number 4, which is you want to make sure that after you do all this foundation and everything, that you do use a skin tone powder to set your face. This is something that I didn't used to do, and I always wondered why my makeup didn't, one, last as long, and also it didn't look as flawless and as smooth. Like right now my skin looks pretty smooth, but you still kind of can see some texture, especially here. And the powder is not like a magic formula, but the powder really helps to lock your makeup into place. You want to make sure also when you do apply your concealer that you do use a powder under your eye. Now as a darker skinned woman, I like to use powders underneath my eyes that are more so yellow toned. I don't use a lot of translucent powders because they tend to flash back on my skin tone. In my eyes, I do use a more yellow, golden, banana type of powder, and then for the rest of my skin, I use a skin tone powder. I'm actually going to be going in with the Maybelline Fit Me Matte and Poreless powder in 355 Coconut. It is one of the best powders at the drugstore. I love this powder so much. I love the foundation too. The liquid foundation is so amazing. I'm actually taking a larger, fluffier brush to do this. I really like to kind of apply like a soft layer on my face. I don't like to apply too much powder because then you get the cakiness. And I'm not gonna lie to you guys, sometimes you do get that powdery look after applying a setting powder, and you know, it's normal, it happens sometimes. Into the next thing that you want to make sure you do, you want to make sure you take a good setting spray and you set your makeup with it. I didn't start using setting sprays until like 3-4 years ago. Like before, I would just go out like this, not even put powder, I just used to put foundation and just go out, and setting spray and setting powder has really changed my makeup routine. I'm taking the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Setting Spray. It is my favorite setting mist ever. I love this thing, and I'm going to take that and I'm going to apply it to my face. And you can always put more, less, whatever you want, your preference. The setting spray, it really melts all the makeup in together, and it really helps the makeup to adhere to the skin, and it just really helps to lock everything in place, and also it gives your skin a more natural finish. I feel like the moisture from the spray really helps to kind of take away that powdery look that we tend to have sometimes after putting setting powder. This brings me to tip number 6, which is using a sponge to press the makeup in. I really feel like this is a game changer in the complexion category. I feel like this helps to really press the makeup in and to really help it look as natural as possible. And even if you would like, you could take some setting spray and just put it on your sponge like this, and you just press it in there. This is what my skin looks like. I have a liquid blush on, so that's why it's looking a little dewy right here, but this is the skin. It looks very, very like smooth, like one layer. It doesn't look cakey or anything. That is it for this video. These are my 5 tips on how to avoid cakey foundation. Remember that skincare is a must. You have to take care of your skin. Finding a primer that works for your skin type is another one that's very important to avoiding that cakey foundation look. Also guys, please remember to apply your foundation slowly and in sections and work in layers. Don't just apply all the pumps of foundation to your skin. Don't go with a heavy hand. Go in slowly and slowly build up your coverage to your liking, and also try to thin out your foundation as much as you can and try to buff it away from the center. Don't bring it towards the center. You're trying to take it more this way. It just helps it to look more natural and more seamless. Using a skin tone powder to set your face is very, very important. You want to make sure that if you're not doing cream blush or cream bronzer, you go in with that setting powder right after applying your foundation, so that it can just kind of give you that airbrush flawless look. And if it happens to look powdery, that's okay, because you're gonna apply your setting spray to melt everything in, and everything's gonna melt in with that nice setting spray. And also guys, use that tip of pressing in your setting spray into your skin with a sponge. I'm telling you, it is a game changer. It has really changed the way that my foundation looks ever since using this tip. That's everything for this video. If you like this video, please make sure to give it a thumbs up, and also please subscribe if you are not already subscribed. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll be seeing you guys in the next video. Bye.